Newcastle, who weren't truly tested by Carabag in the last stage, will now take on Barcelona. Newcastle manager Eddie Howe spoke with the media ahead of the match, so let's take a listen.
But we have the biggest game in the club's history coming up in, well, we've never been in this position in the Champions League before. And it's the best competition there is, so I think for obvious reasons, I think it's a massive game in our history, and we need to approach it that way. We need the supporters to think that way, and we need to try and find some energy from somewhere that will elevate our performance to a level that we've not seen before this season, because I think that's the only way we'll get through.
So, Nico, this is the furthest that Newcastle have made it into the Champions League. A huge match for them, and the fact that they've made it this far, it says a lot. But based off of how you were talking about Newcastle this morning, it made it seem like you still aren't convinced by them.
Newcastle, the team in general, no. Right now, I think they've dropped off massively. I think they're going to have to put the best performance of the season, and they're surrounded by a couple of pretty bad performances over the last year. They need to galvanize. They need to play on the front foot, score goals, not miss chances. They need a Voltemata that's in form, and he's been massively out of form. Anthony Gordon's been great for Newcastle in the Champions League, and he needs to continue that. Again, we're getting to the level where sometimes when teams are competing and it's a back-and-forth match, and Barca's going to give Newcastle opportunities, for sure they're going to give Newcastle opportunities, but it comes down to the star players at this point. Who's going to be the difference maker? Who's going to write their name in the annals of the Champions League so that Newcastle's talk about this matchup for the rest of their history? I mean, Tino Asprilla scored a hat-trick against Barcelona in the 90s, and we're still talking about it. But that was in the group stage. This is just a level up here, and they have a prime opportunity, but it just comes at the worst time. It feels like it's unraveling a little bit, and it's just only not, because we're in the Champions League still, and there's still time to right those wrongs.
It feels like Newcastle are fighting against their squad depth this year. They've had so many injuries. Their squad is a little bit thin otherwise, but against this Barcelona team, I still do give them a chance because of Gordon's pace. The way that Barcelona plays so high, and Newcastle, if they have the ability to sit in, soak up some pressure, maybe disrupt Barcelona's style of play with their physicality and hit Barcelona on the break, Gordon is one of the paciest players in football. And if he can get an opportunity and tuck it away, this match is wide open.
But it's also, we talk about that back line, and yes, it's been an issue, but last 5 games in all comps, they've only allowed 2 goals. So that back line, as much trouble as it's given them, they've been better defensively. They haven't given up as many goals. They've been a bit more solid. They have now players back from injury where they have relatively full squad, a couple of guys missing here and there. But the timing is just not good for Newcastle. And I understand.
Hold up, but sure. You know who's a big player, though? You mentioned the injuries. Bruno Guimaraes.
For on the other end.
Oh, sorry. I was trying.
Yeah, I was talking Barcelona. Barcelona. Okay, but yeah, Bruno's will be big as well. And you look at from the FA Cup, where they lose to Manchester City this past weekend. That front 3, again, there's no striker. It's basically 3 wingers up top for Newcastle. So I really do think that this will be difficult for them. I understand why Eddie Howe's trying to really play this game up, one of the biggest games in club history. He's trying to get the fans behind this team because they're going to need them in that fixture in St. James Park, because without them...
We just talked about atmospheres, and St. James's Park is one of those stadiums that can be the impetus to push a team in. And if Newcastle are the best version of Newcastle and they use that St. James's Park energy, they can hurt this Barcelona team.
We look at this back line, right? And the Barcelona back line. You did mention the team full of wingers for
Newcastle.
For Newcastle, I think that if I'm Eddie Howe, I'm using that pace to my advantage, and maybe Nick Voltemata, just considering his form, doesn't start in this game. Saw how Ozula played. Even Ozula could be off the bench before
Anthony Elanga,
so Barnes, Gordon, and if Barca is going to offer you that space, remember when they played each other in the league phase, Newcastle misses an opportunity when the game is 1-0, and then Marcus Rashford gets his goal, right? It was down the right-hand side. I think it was
Was it
Gordon to Barnes or Barnes to Gordon?
Yeah, Barnes.
And
Yes.
he just misses it, empty net. It was too hard of a pass or something like that. Those are the opportunities that you can't let go by, right?
Yeah.
Because Barca's going to score. But like, the one game that Barca was probably the worst that I've ever seen them under Hansi Flick was the first leg of the Copa del Rey against Atletico Madrid. And I think this is a Barca that identifies moments where they've been really bad and are just a little bit better, especially with this team that doesn't have that much like leadership in the background. It's the backline has kind of been almost like, I think makeshift is too strong of a term, but they've been rotating a lot of players, right?
Yeah.
Cancelo has come in, Balde has been injured, they've lost Inigo Martinez, and I think that's been a massive talking point since the beginning of this season, but they've like kind of plugged and played here and there. So I think Newcastle has to take advantage of that. But
Agreed.
like, do we believe that Newcastle will take advantage of that? To
I
me, the signs
believe
show
in
that no.
football, but in reality, I don't think they do it. I always believe in the chance, and I always believe in the like hope and excitement that any kind of surprise football can bring. But when I think about it, when I really analyze it, I don't see this Newcastle team beating Barcelona. Barcelona, this is the business stage of the season, and this Barcelona team are just too good.
One thing that Eddie Howe spoke, because I listened to his post-match interview from when they played in the league phase 5 months ago, and one thing he said was, looking back at it, I'm very disappointed that we didn't score the first goal. I feel like that would have been a very pivotal thing. Do you feel like that's definitely a big thing that they're going to hone in on coming into this one, Stefano?
100%.
Yeah, especially playing at home, right? I mean, that's huge. We saw that lineup there. We didn't mention Vista didn't play this past weekend in the FA Cup, or at least didn't start. If Voltemade isn't the guy, I mean, Vista they need to start producing from that number 9 position. You mentioned that the wingers will be important against the back line. Yes, they got to get finishing from somewhere, and you can't really rely consistently on finishing from a Harvey Barnes or I guess Anthony Gordon a bit.
For
But
sure.
Vista
What do you
needs
mean
to
a
be
bit? Yeah, of
finishing
course.
in open play.
Yeah. Anthony Gordon's almost the top goal scorer of this Champions League season. Like, that's your guy, right? If you're trying to get in behind Barcelona, the wingers are going to be critical. Barcelona concedes goal off of so little passes.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I feel like Barcelona does give Newcastle an opportunity here where you combine inside and then you send the winger out wide and then that's how they almost got the goal the first time around.
I really envision like Anthony Gordon is just going to hang out in the center circle, just on the line, waiting for that Barcelona high line, waiting for them to push in and any chance to break. Probably a 4-5-1 with a trying to pack the midfield and kick the hell out of this Barcelona midfield and stop them from playing.
Bruno would have come in handy.
He would have been very handy with this. His physicality, a little bit of edge, yeah. Joel Linton will be important for this.
And the quality
to play,
right?
yes.
The quality in those combinations.
Yeah.
To break up, to
get
find
out
that
of play.
pass,
Yes.
to give you that combination.
Tonali's going to be huge.
Right.
He's going to be massive.
You need to be perfect against Barcelona, but I do see this Newcastle team does concede.
Yeah.
Over 2 legs. If it was a one-off, sure. But like if this was the final, I think we'd be having a
completely different combo. Yeah.
Different tone because Newcastle would have gone to a Champions League final anyway. So, but over 2 legs.
Yeah. You think Barcelona gets the best?
It's too heavy of a lift. I would be massively surprised if Newcastle pulls this off.
Agreed.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount Plus.